How are you now? It's James Whelan here, and you are listening to the Theory of Thinking Investment podcast, brought to you live from Studio 67 in the Pitt Street establishment of Barclay Pierce Capital and our wealth management team. I am joined here by Heath Moss, all the way over from Adelaide today of HLM Investments. Heath, how are you now?
Very well, thanks, mate. Very well. How are you going?
Mate, it's been an absolute cranking week. Some stuff has happened. We're going to get to the investment side in just a moment. I'm joined here by guest Anthony Tolfts. I can never do your last name. Anthony Tolfts.
You just did it, mate. Great work.
Second time, two stats in that one. Who's running the company called H2X, which does some hydrogen stuff.
That's true. Call it hydrogen vehicles for the commercial driver.
Yeah.
Big week in hydrogen.
Tell us.
Well, the Minister, the Honourable Chris Bowen, brought out a hydrogen strategy.
Hey, we've got a strategy now.
We have.
Okay.
And it came out on Friday the 13th of
good.
September.
That's good.
What could go wrong?
Right.
It's spooky.
Yes.
Let's first things first now. Wakey, our amazing non-sponsor sponsors as they do, keeping us powered as we do
That's
through the hydrogen revolution. Which one do you want? Do you want the lemon flavor or the no flavor?
What has the most caffeine?
They've both got 100 milligrams of caffeine in each one.
Let's go lemon.
Okay, you go lemon. I'll go the regular, and we'll go on three. On three this time, Heath. You stuffed it up last week. Here we go. You ready?
Okay.
You ready? One, two. That's good. I got that right next to the microphone as well. So that's effervescence. Wake me up inside. Wake me up inside. Okay. Remember Evanescence?
I remember.
Yeah.
I bought a CD of theirs a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Still have it.
Yeah. What the one with the Wake Me Up Inside?
Bring me back to life.
Bring me to life.
Yeah.
That would have been the 20th anniversary one, I reckon.
Oh, is it 20 years ago already? When did that happen?
It might be longer now.
It was 2000. It tricks everyone because everyone associates that song with being in the 90s.
But it wasn't.
Because of our generation, it's just like, no, it was actually 2003. So it's 21 years old.
So it would have been last year. Yeah, because they brought out a special vinyl for it, and I bought it. So, yeah.
There we go.
Evanescence on the vinyl. Anyway, so we are effervescence here with the wakey. Don't drink it until it's fully effervesced on that. Okay, so we've got a hydrogen strategy.
We do.
And what is it?
Oh, it's going to change the Australian dynamic of hydrogen in a major way.
Yep.
The strategy at a high level will make Australia one of the biggest producers of hydrogen in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a few other sort of bits and bobs. The key points, the target is, and we're talking about 1 million tons of hydrogen.
Yeah.
Last year, Australia produced roughly 500,000 tons of hydrogen. By 2050, Australia's target is to produce between 15 and 30 million tons of hydrogen per year.
How are they going to do that?
Well,
okay.
Just for context, Europe, which is super developed in hydrogen already, they've got about 200 fuel stations, do 8 to 9 million tons of hydrogen every year.
Yep.
So effectively, we're going to be double or quadruple Europe. I mean, it's just going to be insane.
Okay.
So real once in a generation opportunities. And I'll tell my daughter who wants to study hydrogen law, because it's going to change. The industry is going to go from being quite small to being really a major player. So lots of money promised. Now, strategy is just the first document. So it'll really be interesting to see how that detail trickles down.
Okay.
But lots of promises of billions of dollars to support the industry to grow.
Okay.
Bring it on.
All right.
Fantastic.
And what's the latest? Sorry, Heath, you had...
I was just wondering, what is the price of hydrogen? How is it compared to like LNG and other fossil fuels?
So in Australia at the moment, there's only 12 or 14 hydrogen pumps. It costs roughly twice the amount that diesel would cost. So to do the equivalent distance, depending on your vehicle.
Yeah.
In Europe, there's lots of government subsidies which can bring that price down, depending on which country you're in, to be roughly the same price as diesel. So €8 per kilogram.
Okay, fantastic.
€8 a kilogram, and it's far more efficient. Obviously, we don't have to go into the environmental friendliness of it. That fact is already known. That is assumed knowledge to be on this podcast, that hydrogen is
zero emission.
Zero emission. It's got the trickle of water that comes out the back of the car. So
vapor.
Whoops. Okay, so run us through the H2X. So H2X is a company that we're connected to. We do the occasional raise for and some corporate stuff.
Thank you.
Full disclosure, as we do our best on that one. But we do it because we actually like this innovation that you guys have of retrofitting vehicles with hydrogen engines. Is that a good way of explaining it?
Absolutely right. So it's taking a vehicle that's already proven, test has gone through all the sort of roadworthies and what have you, and all we're doing is we're taking out the powertrain, putting in a fuel cell that makes the electricity, putting in an electric motor, and our own tanks to store the hydrogen at 700 bar pressure.
Now, I mean, the cards on the table. It's been widely. You see a headline in the newspaper saying that the hydrogen passenger vehicles and hydrogen is not the way forward. It's not going to happen. Batteries have already sort of gone the way that way. What's the future for the actual vehicles?
So I should say, so H2X, and my belief is that the bigger the vehicle goes, the more hydrogen makes sense because you don't have to carry a battery around with you.
Yep.
And for a commercial vehicle, that the 3 to 5 minutes to refuel it makes a lot of sense. I should say, that's my opinion. I was delighted to see only last week that Toyota and BMW have got a big strategy of coming together. So as I understand it, BMW will want to bring out an X5 with a Toyota fuel cell in it. And I think that's fantastic because that's the luxury market that we are not going anywhere near at the moment. So, but it will lead to that sort of mass adoption of normal folks needing to refuel their hydrogen vehicles, in the same way that we fill the same hydrogen into ours.
I fully intend for my next purchase, once the MG is done, to be a hydrogen car. I would love it, but it's
Hopefully you've got an older MG.
It's a couple of years old. Second year running. I really like it actually. My MG. When I was a kid, all I wanted to do was own an MG.
Cool. Yeah.
And then it turns out, 43 years old with an MG SUV, not the MG that I had in my mind that I was going to be driving around in one of those MGBs with the hat, the British Racing Green sort of stuff.
And I should say,
I've got a white SUV. That was
that matches your shirt.
It's so suburban.
The key, batteries is very interesting. Obviously, it's very convenient because you can charge it at home. But you've got to be so careful. Don't do any DIY in your battery cars.
Yeah.
Because if you looked at the sort of amps that come out of those vehicles?
Yeah.
So something like 0.07 of an amp, if it's on your heart for 3 seconds, you'll die.
Yeah.
Coming out of the wall is like 10 amps. So don't play with your plugs. The fast charge, they're like hundreds of amps.
Yeah.
So they will kill you. And in fact, there's been there's a chap in the US who was installing one of those.
It's three-phase stuff, isn't it? That comes in off the. Yeah, sorry.
It has to be.
All the electrical fitter here.
Effectively, don't muck around with it. It will kill you.
Yeah. General rule: don't touch anything electrical unless you're qualified.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good rule.
I saw it. There was one. I put it in my note a couple of weeks ago. It said it was a sign of Bunnings saying a reminder that all plumbing and electrical work at home needs to be done by a licensed professional. And someone wrote in pen, "Stop me." In this economy, I'm going to do my own spark work. Thank you very much.
Whereas hydrogen is actually super interesting in that, obviously the Hindenburg didn't go well. And so a lot of folks are worried about the safety of hydrogen. And so, a lot of folks have tested it, including Toyota, who've crash tested it and actually shot bullets at it. Yeah. So that's kind of cool. I saw a few weeks ago, someone actually put a hydrogen tank in an incinerator just to see what would happen. Yeah. Nothing. Effectively, the hydrogen fuel cells use 45 mils carbon fiber. So they're 2 to 3 times as thick as a bulletproof car. Yep. But that's not enough for the US military, who wanted to combat test hydrogen tanks. Yeah. So, this is like science gone mad, or boys with toys.
You got to test it out as far as you can.
Exactly right.
The US military.
So check this out online. There's actually, this is a documented science experiment. Yeah. Started firing an M80 assault rifle at a tank full of hydrogen.
Obviously.
Bullets just bounced off.
Yeah.
Second round was, pun intended, firing an armored piercing round at a hydrogen tank. Yeah. That did pierce the tank, but because hydrogen's at 700 bar pressure, and the stuff that we put in our cars, the tire pressure is about 2 to 2.2 bar. Yeah. So it's at extreme pressure. And that's why the energy density is 167 times what a lithium battery is. Hydrogen just comes out. And because hydrogen is lighter than oxygen, all that happens is it just goes up into the atmosphere.
Makes sense.
Just for good measure, US fired a rocket-propelled grenade, or RPG among friends, at a hydrogen tank just to see what would happen. Yeah. And the only shrapnel was from the rocket.
Oh, wow.
So go
that's
hydrogen.
Been tested. I love that. That's all right.
If someone's going to test that stuff, it's going to be the US military, isn't it?
Oh, mate, it's fantastic.
They think of every which way.
If you need, if you need something blown up, shot at, skipped off the back of a carrier, that's how it goes. So I think that the future, I do honestly believe that the future of hydrogen is not potentially in the regular passenger side as much, but I think that it is in that commercial side, but also for councils, government agencies, but all where you've got a base. So it's that back to base. You got your hydrogen recharge plant there. Cars back. You can plan your schedule and everything that's going on. If I was mapping out, not as easy to do with there's no charging stations between here and Victoria when I go to the farm.
True story. Okay. So in Australia,
cheers. Wake me up inside, Mr. H2X. Go ahead.
Big fan of Wakey. Yeah, so Australia, we've got 12 to 14 stations in operation at the moment. There's one in Blacktown, running some buses, one in Port Kembla.
We were going to go out there to Blacktown, weren't we? Yeah.
But it's clearly the strategy from government last week, hugely exciting. Transforming the industry and really to grow that much. You're looking at scaling it. 30 to 60 times its current stage. That's a great industry to be in.
Okay.
And 2050 will be here before we know it. And how else are you going to get to net zero? But hydrogen, it's the only way to go.
I like that. Good story. Thank you. Thank you for that. Stick around. We're going to keep talking about hydrogen as we go through. Heath, mate, how was your week?
Good. Busy. Finally got a haircut, mate. Finally got a haircut.
That's the highlight. The highlight.
Come on. What are you doing? What are you doing?
How are you going up there? That's all right. I did my own hair on the weekend too.
It looks like it. Yeah.
Thanks, mate. It's not so bad. We're talking proper cry for help stuff. I'm sitting in the backyard, no shirt.
Oh, stop, please.
I think I had Creed playing, and I'm just going through my own hair. So it's like someone,
But yeah,
mental health awareness week. I think for old Jimmy James here, I felt so much better afterwards.
Good for you, Heath.
Good. It looks good. So you had yours done. It's a good week for a South Australian if they get their hair cut. That's an exciting week.
It's Adelaide.
Yeah. I mean, we've only got like 2 hairdressers here, so. It's been busy doing a few SOAs for clients. I'll be glad when they're gone. Hopefully, they're gone by the next financial year.
Is that SOAs or clients?
SOAs.
Clients aren't gone. Get rid of it. So the QA, the quality of advice review is getting rid of SOAs.
Yeah. So hopefully it's in time for next financial year because they're a bit cumbersome, and the clients don't read them anyway. They go straight to the recommendations, go yep, and then find out how much it costs them, and like the rest is jargon. So been busy doing that. Family wise, it's been a real quiet week. No one's sick.
No one's sick. We've gone for 2 consecutive weeks for that. Anyone in the Moss household being sick? Yeah. Wait for it right now. I'm getting a sneeze in the background, and that's going to be.
Oh God. The two boys are at school. It's only the daughter here. So, it's been good. How about you? How about you guys?
Mate, I'm proud as punch. My eldest daughter, she just decided with one of her friends one afternoon a few weeks ago to put their hand up for debating, which is something that happens. They went into debating. The teacher that was supposed to be coaching them through debating, so they come completely off the rookie list for debating, complete rookies. And I've gave a few tips because I did debating in school, and you pick up a few things and you know it. And I didn't no real coaching or anything like that. The teacher was supposed to be helping them through it, just sort of checked out or didn't attend the things that needed to be done. It's inter-house debating. They somehow managed to win their first one against one of the other houses. They went to the grand final. Yesterday, I got a text message. One of the proud parent moments, you get a text message from your eldest saying we won.
Oh, fantastic.
Wow.
Straight off the rookie list, second debate that she's ever done.
Just like her dad.
You know what? I know, yeah. Argue for
do you know what the topic was?
It was about social media it was about the government, the federal government should place a social media ban to the age of 13 or something like that.
Okay. Cool.
And so I gave a few points about don't argue the right or wrong of that. I would say take the step outside of that and just go, is it the government's? So she was
place. Yeah.
Is it the government? Is it the federal government's place to be ruling on that? Because I'm a libertarian at heart, but you'll be you'll have a far easier thing of winning the overall. What's the point of this at all, as opposed to the argument about 13 versus 14 versus that. Anyway, I think she sort of took that. But I'll tell you what's good, and I do the same coaching with. I'm not a manager. I'm not a boss. I'm a roadblock remover. I'm a bedsheet smoother. There you go. Just made it up. But I do this. If you walk in and it's late and you see your daughter, you get home from it and you knock on the door and she's there with her laptop and I'm just like, what's going on? It's like 9:30 or something at night because she works her ass off. She works hard. It's that school.
Just like her dad.
Yeah. What do you do? She said, I'm doing my final notes for the debate tomorrow. This is a couple of nights ago. Doing my final notes for the debate tomorrow. And I've just gone, okay, that's good that you're doing that. You need to be asleep. But that's sort of just natural organic motivated to do that. Don't poke it too hard. Don't prod it. Let it happen. And it showed results, which is fantastic. You see someone who's just naturally doing it.
That's great parenting.
Yeah.
Hands off. Hands off.
How old's your eldest daughter?
14.
There we go.
Okay, I answered that correctly. Do we have to say she's something?
Same age as my eldest daughter, who does debating too. So we'll see them either lining up together or against.
The North Shore inter-schools competition.
My daughter's not almost 2, and her debating is just purely no. It's no to everything.
I'm going to take the con on everything. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So that's where I'm at.
What about you? Proud parenting week for you at all?
Yeah, very much actually. Yeah, it's good. So in fact, my eldest daughter, who does debating, I presented to their entire grade yesterday on hydrogen cars.
Hey,
fantastic.
So I hope I didn't embarrass her too much. It happens. But I was
kind of the job, isn't it? Sometimes.
Well, in fact, that's my view.
Yeah.
Actually, quite impressed at the overall take up of the question. So, the session was meant to be half hour. It went for an hour.
Yeah.
Because the kids probably didn't want to go to the next class. Kept asking questions.
How about that?
There you go.
And you fell into the trap. But there are lots of questions about hydrogen. Yeah. The fact that it's like just this simple process of you have the cell and this thing with the addition, and that's what comes out the back of it. It's just like. And your head explodes.
And and there's no moving parts. So you've got the fuel cell. Now, every year you probably should change the membrane. And you've got a tank. Now, both of those tanks, I mean, the marketing guys will tell you they'll last 30 years without needing to be replaced. In reality, you get 15 years. That's not bad for a car.
That's fantastic.
And then you can just recycle the tanks pretty easily.
I'm concerned about the amount of leftover batteries in the lithium side of things is going to be an issue.
Well, did you see that article in Bloomberg about cars getting dumped in China?
Yeah,
horrendous.
Yeah. If the amount of things that it's so funny with the technological cycles that happen in China of the stuff that just gets dumped.
Are you thinking about where you're going to park your MG one day? Sorry,
mate. Market.
All right.
Yeah. Anyway,
you want to get stuck into that?
So you're proud parenting. All right, we're going to cross now. Crossing now, are you okay for the market update?
Go for it.
Heath is going to run us through what happened in the markets. There was a pretty significant event, and everything else for the week was just leading up to that significant event. Holy Christmas! Look at that!
Look at that!
That's an evening star. What? Okay, go. I'll let you do it. Heath Moss from HLM Investments with the market report. Go.
Thanks, Jimmy.
I want to see ninjas and monkeys in this one, please.
Monkeys.
Look at us both leaning in here so we can see it. Yeah.
Look, you can see there. I'll zoom right in. There we go. You can see the SPX there made a new high last night, in fact. And that was on the back of everyone knows, the Fed cut by 50 basis points. Basically admitted they should have probably gone in July, so it was a bit of a catch up. But their tone was still fairly, confidence in the economy, confidence in the jobs market. They just want to move away from the restrictive nature of where rates are at the moment and start this rate cutting cycle back to neutral to support the jobs market, to keep it in with the strength it has at the moment. So they cut by 50. I think it was I saw a stat, it was in our group chat, 107 out of 114 economists thought it was going to be
105 out of 114 were wrong.
Yeah, 105 got expected 25 basis points. And I was one of those.
I was wrong in a crowd. If you're going to be wrong, be wrong in a crowd. Do not stray from the herd.
Exactly. So, they cut 50. Market took it fairly well last night and was up around 1.5%. That's sort of the movement that we've seen on the SPX this week, up 1.5%. The NASDAQ is up about 1.7%. And NASDAQ, if we look at the NASDAQ or bring the NASDAQ up, not hitting new highs at the moment, still lagging for obvious reasons. They got sold off much harder than the SPX a few weeks ago, as we all know. And we also had those, obviously semiconductors and AI have been leading this charge, and they haven't recovered as much as the rest of the market. So the rally is broadening, as you would say. So the SPX is not far off of new highs, but is not reaching it. We had a little bit of data out last night in terms of jobless claims, etc. They were much better than expected. Less people claiming for jobless support on both initial and continuing. So that helps support the economy. And then we had retail sales the other night, which was stronger than expected, up 0.1 versus the negative 0.2 they were expecting. And last month's was upgraded as well. So the consumer is in a decent spot. It's not as strong as 2 years ago, but no one's expecting that. They had a lot of handouts, etc. back then. But it seems like the real wages and the fact that inflation has come down is starting to kick in, and the consumer is starting to feel the benefits of that as well.
Now,
so
you are a mega bull. I'm going to say it because you put it on the chat, and I'm going to publicize the chat. You're a mega bull on the US consumer. You think that we're in what I'm going to misquote you and say a super cycle. Come into shot a bit there, Anthony. You're out of the shot. We're in some sort of a super cycle for the US consumer. What would be the best way of capitalizing on that?
Well, I wouldn't say super cycle, but I believe the US consumer and the US economy is starting to accelerate again into the end of the year, and 2025 is going to be a great year. So what's happening at the moment is obviously we're getting rate cuts, and basically through research, listening to podcasts, etc., I found out that the US consumer has $14 trillion US dollars in equity in their homes. Now, the debt to equity ratio hasn't been this good since the 1960s, so it's even better than it was pre-GFC. And what we saw pre-GFC was people dipped into that equity, bought cars, boats, did a lot of spending. And I believe that cycle is going to start again. The house prices are strong in the US after probably about 15 years of going probably nowhere. There was a surplus of housing. There's now a deficit of housing. And of course, they've got high net immigration, much like Australia. So I believe people are going to start dipping into that equity and spending that equity as rates come down. And we're going to see that consumer get stronger and stronger over the next few years. Now, of course, in the next 3 to 5 years, that could lead to not a GFC, because I don't believe the banks will create these derivative products again like they did last time. They won't be allowed to. But there will be a decent recession because obviously, if the consumer is spending again, well, then inflation will go back up and rates will go back up, and we all know
history doesn't repeat; it rhymes.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's where we're at, and then the global benefit on the back of that as well. And we saw the rally in Europe and Australia. We'll head to the XJO now.
Well, hang on before you get there. Wait, well, hold your horses.
All right, I'm back.
That we're trying to make people money here. So if there is some sort of a cycle leaning towards the US consumer, which is 60-something% of the US economy, and if you break it down, it's about 15% of the global economy. I think if you actually do the maths in this sort of way,
it depends how you look at it. They're 32% of all consumption around the world.
Yeah.
So spending. Yeah.
If you type in XLY, that's going to bring up, because I did a few pieces a few years ago on the US consumer pre-COVID, and
consumer discretionary sector.
There are a couple of decent consumer discretionary ETFs that are out there.
Yeah.
There's one by Fidelity. This is one by State Street or SPDR. That's up. It's up about 8% this year. So usually just sort of these things are up. Look at that one.
Yeah, it's at all-time highs.
Yep. Okay.
Oh no, it's not. No, go back. It's about say 20% below all-time highs.
So I mean, obviously ETFs are made up of things that always change in there. But that's, if you wanted to capitalize, get on that overseas trade. And buy the US consumer, and that's how to do it through those ETFs. Right.
Yep. And I think, like, even in Australia, if you're looking for something in Australia with growing US exposure and already exposure, something like Lavicia, the cheap accessories and jewelry makers, they're opening a lot of stores around the US.
Yeah.
That will have a big influence on them. And then if you're looking, because obviously if rates are coming down and people are going to tap into their equity, they're going to do renovations and improvements to their home. So something like a James Hardy, who 60 or 70% of their earnings come from the US, and of that 70% is from renovations.
Yeah. So which especially if mortgage rates are still fairly high.
Yeah, they are.
You can't buy a new house. You can't refinance, because then all of a sudden your fixed in 30-year rate goes to something insane. You have to renovate. If you've got the money to do so, you will do so.
That's a good point.
Yeah. That's where that comes from.
You can't afford to move.
You can't afford to move. You've got to renovate. That's what everyone's done. It's COVID all over again, which means, and then you also got to fill those new rooms with stuff. So Best Buy, what are some other ones? Bed Bath Beyond,
Walmart, Bed Bath Beyond. Actually, no, they went broke, didn't they? Didn't Bed Bath Beyond go broke?
Well, and this is just as good as when I tipped last week.
Well, that Tupperware.
Tupperware's gone.
We're going to pour one out for Tupperware parties, don't we?
Tupperware's gone bankrupt. I guess you could say the
Yeah.
party's over.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone. You've been a great audience. Tip your waitresses. Okay, mate. Yeah, the ASX. What have we got?
So we go to the XGO, and we're hitting new highs yesterday and this morning. We're up on the back of those US moves, looking fantastic. We saw metals bounce quite a bit last night on the back of the enthusiasm of the strength of the US economy and how that will, roll out to the rest of the globe as well. So we've seen like copper and iron ore and all that have very good moves overnight, and that's sort of transferred itself across to us. And I dare say we'll probably see a similar sort of pattern here eventually when the RBA does start dropping rates, and they won't be as aggressive, but obviously mortgages will come down. Australians already have a huge amount of equity in our homes. There was a stat, I heard a stat or something. It was like, might have been ANZ a couple of years ago. It was like 40% of ANZ mortgages were 2 to 3 years ahead of their mortgage or something along those lines.
Wow.
Who are these people? Who are these? I don't meet these people.
Well, that's because basically when you take out a mortgage in Australia and rates go up, then the minimum payment that's direct debit from your thing goes up automatically. But when they come down, the bank doesn't reduce that minimum payment. It stays at the thing. And so people are used to paying that and have budgeted for that. So a lot of people don't bother because you have to ring the bank and say, hey, reduce my minimum payment for me. And you have to spend, half hour to an hour on the phone to do it. So,
all right, smash out some commodities.
Yeah. So we'll have a look at the commodities. Look at copper. Fantastic. Nice breakout there. Copper's looking great. Let's just put a line there. Looks like that's where the breakout is happening, and it's gone well above that, above the 200 for the first time in a couple of months. So copper's looking fantastic.
Yep.
Gold touching on all-time highs there.
Yep.
That's on the back of lower yields and lower US dollar. We've got iron ore trying to bottom here, maybe. We just need some more positive news out of China. The rebar, new rebar standards come into effect at the end of next week, I think it is. So hopefully that sort of stems the dumping of steel into markets and lowering of prices and helps steel mills back get those margins back up again.
Yeah,
and
I've got a magnetite stock that needs that number to be a little bit higher to help.
Yep, don't we all? Don't we all? so that's basically. We'll have a look at oil quickly because oil.
Oil's been doing some funny stuff here. Yeah,
oil bounced on the back of that stuff last night. Has come off its lows as well due to the hurricanes and escalating tensions in the Middle East. Because there's a chance now that Lebanon gets invaded. And we can talk about
what? Just drop that into conversation. Is that serious? Are you serious?
Yeah. I was listening this morning to the NAB opening call, and they were talking about how because Hezbollah, a lot of their operations are based in Lebanon.
Yeah.
There could be a move by Israel and some other sort of nations to invade or target some of their operations over there and move to full-scale war.
Yeah, so my Lebanese consumer electronics startup is struggling this week. I don't know why.
It's not in pages or
selling any pages
or anything like that, is it? No,
they might have a go at actually selling a few this week.
Yeah.
Where are they from?
There's a few that need to be replaced.
Yeah.
So oil's trying to do something here. The only problem with oil is as soon as it starts to look like it's got a bit of strength, then OPEC Plus may come in and say, okay, we're producing, we're going to release some more production, etc. So, but if it stays down here too long, and as we all know, price begets price, then you're going to start to see those shale producers in the US stop drilling, and production in the US will come off, and balances, will find the oil price will find its balance.
And
but longer term,
we have a US shale producer that really doesn't want that to happen either. So
no, we don't. No, but. Longer term, I'm a big believer in oil and coal, and still think there's a big room for fossil fuels in our economies, despite the move to renewables. Because unfortunately for renewables, they're not a sturdy base load power supply at this point. Technology will eventually catch up, but it's not there at the moment. So
okay. What else you got? And then we got I'm on the clock here.
I think that's basically it, mate. I mean, I'll just quickly bring up the 10-year, and I will add in the, what are we, 2 year?
You're putting the 10 and 2s together?
Yep. And look, the uninversion has happened. It did happen earlier, but it's well and truly diverging there, where the 10-year yield is holding ground, if not rising a little bit, and the 2-year is coming down. And the 10-year is holding probably because the US economy is proving to be in a better state than expected. So there's no recession expected. Longer term yields will stay higher than expected, but obviously not too high. So we got that uninversion after over 2 years of it being inverted. If we go right back, here we go. This is back in May of 21.
Okay.
So
that's good.
That's it. I'm done.
All right. Well, I'll lead us off with the footy tips then. Once again, last week I managed to predict this week's game for some reason because I'm an idiot. And I said that Las Vegas would beat the Carolina Panthers last week. That's actually this week's game. Now, if you'd gone out last week and just gone, I'm going to take Las Vegas to win, and I'm going to pick the Panthers to lose, you would have won both bets. So technically, I was right. Okay, technically, I was right. On paper, I was right.
You did the double.
I got it wrong, but I got it right. You know, that's like the fat finger error. Then all of a sudden, you're 10 times over leveraged, and it still goes up. You're a winner. That's sort of how I go. I'm going obviously the Raiders. I think because we're in Raiders gear this week. Take the Raiders against the Panthers again. It's actually happening this weekend, not last weekend. We've got our Raiders merch on here, so take the Raiders over the Panthers at $1.40. And I do like the Minnesota Vikings to beat the Houston Texans. If you want to give them a couple of points, you go ahead and do that. It'll be close. What do you got, Heath?
Vikings beat my 49ers last weekend.
Yep.
I've got Tampa Bay to beat the Lion at home versus, I completely forgot who they're playing. Let me just check. Broncos.
Denver Broncos.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, mate. The Buccaneers are paying $1.30.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm saying they're going to beat the line of 6.5, and that's paying about $1.86. So that's my favorite. And I think I've got the Swannies in the prelim final tonight. And
Swannies to thrash Port. Come on.
Hopefully, I mean, if the Swannies can do one thing this year, is beat Port tonight.
Take that, Koshy. And you know how I feel about this, Koshy. He listens.
I think the Lions will upset Geelong. I've got a feeling about the Lions.
Brisbane versus Swans grand final. Like I said, it's going to be great. Just walk straight up to the ticket gate and just get 4 tickets on the day. It's going to be sensational.
Exactly.
What have you got now? Anthony's got, for the first time ever, we've got a different sport.
Diversity.
What do we got?
No, Heath, I'm a cycling tragic. In fact,
fantastic!
I won the SBS tipping comp a couple of years ago.
Get out of here!
Yeah, no,
there's a tipping comp for cycling.
And so until the year I won, the prize from SBS was always a trip for 2 to Paris to watch the Tour de France.
And
the year I won, it was a trip to Adelaide.
I want the Santos Tour Down Under.
Under.
So it was great. We got to hang out in Adelaide, had a fantastic experience. Got to
instead of Gabriel Gatte, you had like Steve.
Actually, I think I had the best steak in my life, and I grew up in South Africa in Adelaide. It was
Where was that at? Oh, would have been Argos on Goodyear, I think. Argos, I think it's called.
There were only 4 places. It's going to be one of the 4 places.
Well, let's go with one of the 4 places.
There's a steak van on Port Wakefield Road that is notorious for how good its steak sandwiches are. So it could have been that.
Okay, so what's your tip?
So this week is the World Cycling Championships.
I didn't know.
Currently held in Zurich, Switzerland.
Okay.
Yeah.
And my tip, and again, for your own research, Remco Evenepoel is going to win the time trial. And the Tour de France champion, Tadej Pogacar, just did some good work out in Canada. He's going to win the individual road race.
So Pogacar,
Remco Evenepoel, time trial.
Evenepoel, and he's paying about, what is that, half? What sort of odds have you got on this thing?
1 to 2.
Is this South Africans quite odds?
Odds
1 to 2. You got a 7 to 2 here for this guy. What is anyway?
That's decimals, very American.
Decimals. We went to fractional. We went to fractional betting a long time ago. What is this?
But
8 to 16.
But if he starts, Pogacar could be interesting to actually double up because I think he's super motivated.
Okay.
Skip the Olympics.
Oh, really?
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Just like I skipped leg day.
Yeah. I mean, I also skipped the Olympics, so there you go.
Yeah, I had to miss out on this one as well. My breakdancing. Are we done? I feel like we're done.
We're done. We're
Anything
done.
else you want to say?
That's good. No, it's always a pleasure. Look, I should just mention
Go.
H2X doing a pre-IPO raise.
Yes.
Look forward to it going and
That's
having
right.
a good time.
Oh, yeah, we
So,
can talk about what's ahead for H2. So,
So-
there is an IPO that's on the horizon.
so yes, there is.
Yep.
And pre-IPO raise now is to cover building 3 more hydrogen-powered vehicles.
Yep.
And the IPO money to get listed.
Okay.
There we go.
Fantastic.
Chat to the BPC guys for more.
Oh, that's all right. We don't do that sort of spookery.
Oh, there you go.
Anyway, give me a call if you need to talk more about hydrogen or anything else that's on that side of the side of the world. Talk to Heath if you want an SOA done. I'm sure. I'm sure as hell I'm going to do it, mate. I left that way behind me, mate. I'm dealing with the hydrogen guys and magnetite too, but we don't want to talk about that later.
Go
So,
hydrogen.
so thanks for coming in, Anthony Tolfts from H2X. Thank you for joining us, Heath Moss of HLM Investments, and thank me for joining as well, James Whelan, Managing Director of Barclay Pierce Capital's Wealth Management Team. You have been listening to the Theory of Thing Investment podcast, and have yourself a good weekend and stay safe and mark well.
Have a good weekend, everyone. See you later.
Now, I've got to switch this thing off here. Here we go. Good night.